Hey, what is up, sheepdogs? Ryan here. I am super excited to start this live show tonight. Tiffany is not with me. Tiffany's brother is visiting from Canada, and she is in Orlando hanging out with him tonight. So I hope they're having fun. I'm sure she'll jump on here on the chat here in a bit, but she couldn't make it back. I didn't want her to make her back. I wanted to spend time with her brother. All right, see lots of people. Let me know what you guys think about the audio. Spent a lot of time, a lot working on this sucker, baby. So tell me what you guys think about it. Hey, Dan, what's up, buddy? Saw the drill with you and your daughter. That was great. Hard Life, what's up from New Jersey? You need to move down to America, man. You guys have got some crazy stuff happening up there. Let's see. Security number 29. Looking for a second mag for my Glock 19. It's got to be tough, man. Michael, what's up? Joe, Security 29 says Biden 2020. Okay, great. You're allowed to have your opinion. Biden's campaign director was just arrested for electoral voter fraud. If that's true, that's very fascinating. Travis says DeSantis' bill. We may talk about that. Scuba, what's up? Yeah, today has been, lots of people said sounds great. Some people want to talk about the voter or the new mob law, which is fascinating. So you guys probably saw my video about Governor DeSantis's new, I'm pretty sure it's called the anti-mob law. And basically what this anti-mob law says, we all know the riots. Hey, thanks, Dawn. We appreciate you, bud. Tommy, EDC TV just gave $20 each. We appreciate you guys. So this anti-mob law, we know that 2020 has had a lot of riots. There's been a lot of violence. It's a lot of chaos, right? And one of the big issues is these protesters will stand in front of traffic and, there's Tiff. Tiff's jumped on. They'll stand in front of traffic. They'll start smashing people's windows, cars. In one instance, this scumbag came up with a hammer and actually started breaking people's windows. There's actually been several instances of that. Well, now with this mob law, if these protesters are blocking traffic and attacking your vehicle, we are allowed to drive through them to get ourselves and our family to safety. So tell me what you guys think about that in the comments below. You know, I brought that up to my sister-in-law, Lori, and she said, you know, I think it's wrong to drive 90 miles an hour through a protest and just run people over. I think we can all agree that's not right. But 10 miles an hour, I'm driving through you. So let me know what you guys think about that. And then the second part of this mob law says that if rioters or protesters are looting within 500 feet of a riot, or I think they called it an unlawful assembly, then you're allowed to legally shoot and kill that person. So it was going to be an amendment to the Florida Justified Use of Force statute. And I forget exactly the wordage he was going to put in as a forcible felony, but I think it's interesting. I think it's really interesting. And I think personally, I think it's a very good thing. I think it will end violence here in the state of Florida. I think it'll stop these rioters and protesters from doing crazy things. You want to peacefully protest, I think that's great. I think that's amazing, and we all want you to do it. But if you want to start hurting people, then so let's see. Michelle here says, if a mob wants to attack my car, I am going to keep going. Michelle, I completely agree. I can only imagine, like Tiffany gets really scared. I don't really get scared very often, but Tiffany gets really like panicky scared. My children would be panically scared. I'm not going to sit there and let these people pull out a gun, pull me out of the car, or smash the windows, whatever. I am driving through. It's just not going to happen. So Jeanette says, I'm happy for the new law. Now remember, it's not a law yet. This is just this was just a draft. So it would not become a law until July 1st of 2021. I think it's great what the governor is doing. Awesome. I think it's a great law. Wanting looters to stop messing with Florida. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I can't. Mr. Potato Head says that's why I drive a F450. Yep, that's just a couple road bumps, right? Not really that big of a deal. Let's see. We are very lucky to live in Florida. You know, we are very blessed to live in Florida. When we look at some of these things that are happening around the country, these politicians are using COVID-19 really to push a out of control agenda on the population. I mean, I was livid. I believe her name is Lightfoot, Governor Lightfoot, Mayor Lightfoot, whatever. She's the psychopath lady out of Chicago. So she said, you're allowed to have Thanksgiving dinner, right? We're not going to stop you from having Thanksgiving dinner, but you have to eat Thanksgiving dinner outside. Isn't it cold as shit in Chicago right now outside? Isn't it like freezing cold? But everybody has to, yeah, Beetlejuice. She does look like Beetlejuice. So you have to eat outside. You have to have 10 people or more. You're not allowed to sing, or you're supposed to keep singing and verbal worship and stuff to a minimum. Listen, who the hell are you? I'm smart enough as an adult to figure out and weigh my risk and benefit. And if we're having a Thanksgiving dinner with Tiffany's brother, Tiffany's sister, our family, we're having it. And we're just going to enjoy our time together. I'm not going to be so stressed out about all this stuff. So I don't know. I just think it's absolutely crazy what she's doing, what New York is doing, de Blasio. I mean, that guy's a lunatic. And, you know, I'm happy to live in Florida where they're not talking about more shutdowns. We know the shutdowns don't work. We know it does nothing, but they keep pushing it. They blame the crappy economy right now on Trump. You're the ones shutting down the economy. You're the ones not allowing people to go to church, which is a constitutional violation. It's just absolutely crazy. Okay, so Securities29 says, yeah, sorry, Ryan, I like to sing at church. Sure, we have a right to sing at church. It is not up to you. When they wrote the Bill of Rights, it doesn't say you have a right to freedom to express your religion. I don't know if that's what it says or whatever. But unless there's a global pandemic, you have a right to freedom of speech. What, buddy? Huh? No, the camera's working, bud. On the other side? No, but Daddy can see it right here, and it is working. Trust me, it's working. So, looting is protected by the Constitution, not the American Constitution. I don't know what version you're reading, buddy. So, the First Amendment says you have a right to peacefully protest. It doesn't say you have a right to loot, steal, burn, kill, destroy because you're mad at something. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be crazy. All right, so let's talk about, hold on, quick side note here. Jax, you got to go to bed, bud. I already told you this. He thinks because I'm on the live, I'm not going to stop and tell him to go. But I will. I will. All right, so some crazy stuff in the news today. So let's take a look at this young, crazy-looking little guy. So this guy was at Disney Springs. You guys have probably all heard my story of me at Disney Springs when a security guard noticed that I was printing, approached me and asked if I had a gun, and I told him, get lost, I don't have to talk to you. Then when the police came, you know, I was respectful to the police. But this young kid, he's 18 years old, and he was arrested at Disney Springs for carrying a concealed weapon. Now, what kind of weapon did he have? He had a BB gun, which I'm pretty sure is not classified as a concealed weapon. So I'm sure if this kid gets a good attorney, this is going to get thrown out. However, when the police approached him, this kid said, I was recently hired as an undercover DEA agent. So that you're going to jail for that, bro. And then he pulled out a badge that he bought on Amazon, claiming that he was a DEA agent out of the Georgia field office. So then the police were like, okay, no problem. Can you get your DEA supervisor out of the Georgia field office on the phone? And let's just talk to this guy. Let's make sure that you're like legit and all this stuff. And he wasn't able to pull it off. So he was arrested. And, you know, Tiffany said on Saturday we were going to go. I drove out to Orlando to hang out with her and with Ryan, her brother. And she's like, hey, we want to go to Disney Springs. Go ahead, buddy. We want to go to Disney Springs. Will you go and will you not bring a gun? And I said, so I ignored her. And then she said, did you get my message? And I said, what message is that? I knew what message, but I was just, playing the game. So she said, do you want to go to Disney Springs? And I said, oh yeah, sounds like a good time. I'm excited. And then she goes, oh great. And kissy face and all that stuff. But I'm bringing a gun. And I was bringing a gun. I had my gun ready and I was ready for it. But if you're going to bring a gun into Disney Springs, you have to know that they have dogs that are smelling for the gunpowder, smelling for the oil. And apparently it's a thing. I've actually met some canine handlers recently, and they told me they actually can train dogs to smell that. So whatever, I didn't know that was a thing. But if you're going to do it and they approach you, you got to understand what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. I have 2 live streams going at once. Yeah, because I'm a rock star. So we're streaming on 2 different YouTube channels because we don't want to do this on 2 different ones, 2 different live streams a week. So whatever. So if you are carrying, it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're at Bank of America, you're at Disney Springs, if you're wherever, if the police approach you and say, do you have a weapon? The number one thing you guys got to ask that police officer is, am I being detained? So if you're being detained, then then they are allowed to ask you questions. But if I am not being detained, then I don't have to talk to you. So, and then the next thing you got to understand, number 2, is that they want you to leave and you just need to leave. And as long as you are leaving the premises, there's really nothing that those police can do to you. But you got to keep walking. So don't stop. When they were kicking me out, I did my Second Amendment violation speech as I walked, very slowly, mind you, as I walked out of the park. But as long as you stay there, then you're pretty stuck. They can arrest you. So if this ever happens to you, don't throw the fit and stay still. You've got to walk towards the exit or you will get arrested. Okay, second, really, this is a fascinating, really fascinating story. This happened in Orlando. So this guy is a former Orange County Sheriff's deputy. So he's accused of giving a child a gun and telling her to shoot anybody that entered his apartment. Okay, interesting, right? And then he also allegedly performed an exorcism on a second child, the little girl's brother. Now, I don't know what his relationship is with these 2 children or why they were there in this apartment, but when the police came into this man's home, he found the little girl wearing a Kevlar helmet, okay, a bulletproof vest, and she was ready to shoot, and she had a rifle in her arms, and she was asleep, ready to shoot anyone that entered the apartment. So the child told investigators that when she woke up, Daughtry, this scumbag in the picture, told her that there were demons in the house and that they needed to burn the things that were possessed. So they went on to burn several items in the parking lot, and then that's when the exorcism was performed on this little boy. Is this guy absolutely crazy? This guy is crazy. So thankfully, he was fired from being a sheriff's deputy for an unrelated reason, but he was Baker acted, and these children were taken away from him. But man, what an absolute lunatic. This is why, we say, you never know who you're really dealing with. You may think you're flipping somebody off in traffic. You may think you're getting into a verbal argument with a neighbor. That person might be crazy just like this guy, and they might just kill you over something very, very minor. So, okay, let's see some of these comments here. Another crazy white boy. Yeah, this guy is definitely crazy. I think that there's drugs involved, and I think this guy probably knew that somebody was coming, but yeah, it's definitely crazy. Okay, Kareem says, Ryan, would you ever leave your gun in your car and then go into the park? Sure. Yeah, so if we were going to Disney and we were leaving from my house here in Tampa, right, or Valrico, whatever, I would for sure bring my gun, and I would just leave the gun underneath the seat and then go into the park if I was going into the park that had the metal detectors, right, where it was actually going to be an issue and somebody was likely going to catch me coming into that park. I would for sure just leave it underneath the seat. Typically, when we go to, we don't go to the theme parks typically because we just think it's a huge ripoff. But, you know, if we did, that's what we would do. Well, I think we go to Busch Gardens a lot. We think Busch Gardens is a lot of fun, but Disney just seems really expensive. Isn't it like $500 person now, or a couple $100? It's basically $1,000 for my entire family to go. It's just absolutely nuts. Okay, been to Disney World through Make-A-Wish. And you know, with Disney, when I was a little kid, we lived next to Disneyland in California. And my entire childhood, I went to Disneyland all the time. It was like every weekend, 5, 10 times a year. I mean, you kind of get burnt out. Hey, thanks, Joey. I appreciate you, bud. So it says, Shiba dog writing with a brush, writing number 1 on a piece of paper. Joey, wish I understood what that meant, bud, but sounds like you might be smoking a little something and donating some money, but I appreciate you. Okay, the only time I disarm is when we visit Disney. Sure, gun stays in the glove box. Now, it's probably smart. You know, I think a once in a while time of leaving a gun in a glove box probably isn't that big of a deal. But if you do it a lot, if you're one of those people that finds yourself going to businesses frequently or areas frequently where you've got to leave that gun somewhere, you probably want to have some type of safe. Even like those cheap little bulldog safes that have the cable that kind of wraps around something, just to make it a little bit more difficult for somebody to steal it. You know, when we owned the gun store, guns got stolen a lot. I mean, a lot. When people would call us and say, hey, we lost our serial, or, you know, my gun got stolen. Do you have the serial number so we can report it stolen? Try to keep it in a safe. If you can keep it in a safe, buy one of these $40 safes. It's going to be a good option for you. All right, so I got 2 more really crazy stories, and then we're going to get into a lot of Q&A. So here is a carjacking that happened. So let's watch this video, and let's kind of see some of the big mistakes that this guy made. So you can see this guy is inside of his truck. He's pulling some stuff out. It looks like he's got a box. It's probably full of meth or heroin, something. Fentanyl, probably fentanyl. Okay, you got these 3 young guys walking. They look like normal kids, and all of a sudden the situation is going to change. So you can see they pull out their gun really quick, and our victim really doesn't know what to do. So he's got his hands up. He's got a Draco AK pistol, and this is the point that off camera they're actually taking the dude's keys, and they really just want the truck. Here's a funny part that's about to happen. This is the funniest part in my opinion. The victim is going to get up. I don't know what the hell you were thinking. They pointed a gun at you. Look at him. He's trying to pull the truck. You can't pull the truck, bro. You can't pull the truck. So my question to you guys, what would you have done in that situation? What level of force can actually be used in that situation? So I'm going to wait, and I want to see some comments down here of exactly what you guys would have done in that kind of situation. And, you know, I doubt most people would even have a firearm on their person while they were outside just kind of working. You know, I do. Tiffany made fun of me the other day or not the other day, it's been about a year or so. But I was trimming our oak tree, and I had my gun on me. And she said, why do you have your gun when you're trimming an oak tree? And I said, because it's America, and I can do whatever the hell I want. Okay, so I think it says, Kathleen says, move to a safe area. Okay. Shoot 4 in the leg. If you're ever shooting, we're shooting in the chest. Shooting in the leg is something Joe Biden believes, which is, it is an idiotic concept. No expert firearms instructor, nobody that knows a damn thing about tactical shooting or advanced pistol shooting is ever going to tell you to shoot somebody in the leg. So it is something I'm pretty sure I just had a video come out about it. I did, yeah. I was talking about some different things. So check it out on the Tampa Carry YouTube channel. Let them go and call the police. Okay, I get that. But I'm talking about the moment leading up to. So here's the thing. If I was at the back of my tailgate, right, and I saw those guys walking by, everything's normal. I'm just watching them. But as soon as I saw the guy draw the gun, honestly, my gun would have been drawn. I would have been taking some cover behind my truck bed, and I would have let them fly, and I would let God decide. I for sure would have killed 2 of them. But my gun for sure would have been out. Forcible felony, do the deed that needs to get done. Yep. Okay, let's see. Could lose the leg if you hit the leg. Sure, hit the femoral artery, person bleeds out in 4 minutes and they're dead. You want to know who is not in bed right now? Yeah, go. I'll turn off this whole live stream to discipline you if I have to. Go. Okay, deadly force, PFF, gun on my person, good. I would have went around the truck. Yeah, then firing. Okay, good. So it looks like we got a lot of good answers here. Yeah, Sandy, it is Jackson. It is Jackson. Jackson is like making his paper airplanes, and he's just like casually kind of in the background right now. Like Dad's not going to say anything because I'm on the live stream. But okay, that was his paper airplane. But Dad will turn this off and discipline you if I have to. Okay, what service do you use to text me when you were on live? I'm not sure if we're going to give out that information, Alexis. I appreciate your question, though, but some things we don't give out. You know what's really funny when we own the gun store, and people do it today too, right? They call us or they send us an email or whatever, and they're like, hey, how did you build your website so good? And I'm like, okay, who are you? And they're like, oh, I have a gun store in Wesley Chapel. I just want to see how you did it. Yeah, so you're also my competitor. So I'm not interested in giving you my competitive advantage here, bud. Go figure it out for yourself. So I always laughed when people did that. I don't know if that's what Alexis is doing, but yeah, that's we don't. There's certain things we don't give out. All right, Dan says, yep, gun out, fire at once. Yep, good, awesome. All right, so here is the second one. This is the promise. You know, Joe Biden has got a pretty bold gun control agenda. Very bold gun control agenda. He says he's going to do a lot of things. And I want to show you a video of exactly what Joe Biden's gun control agenda is going to look like. So this next incident occurred in the great state of California, where they have solved all of the world's problems. Let's just face it, people. The people that live in California, they're smarter than us. They figured out how to deal with the homeless problem. Okay, let's just be honest. They've solved the drug crisis. Okay, they've solved inflation. Like, their economy is booming. It's just amazing. And they have solved gun control. So let's roll this video. So this is a white Tesla Model 3 rolling up. And these scumbags just letting it rip, cranking. Now, they're shooting at that white car that's parked in the street right now. And I mean, this is a lot of gunfire, a lot. I'm pretty confident whoever's in that car is dead or severely, severely wounded, because car's not moving. Like, if you were still functional, that car should be in reverse and you should be taking off down that road as fast as possible. These are the scumbags in this vehicle. Oh, I guess that white car is backing up. So this is going to give us another kind of angle. These evil people jump out of their car. Can you imagine living in a neighborhood like this? I have students come to the class saying that this kind of stuff happens in their neighborhood. Man, that sucks. It sucks if anybody has to live in an area where stuff like this is happening. But you know, what's fascinating about this video, this is occurring in a state that has some of the strictest gun control policies in the nation. So why is this stuff happening? Why are these bad guys able to get these guns? If you have a 10-day waiting period, that's the waiting period in California, 10 full days. You've got to go through all these extensive background checks. These are the same policies that Joe Biden wants to bring nationally, the things that are happening in California, except California has some of the highest homicide rate with firearms every single year. Every single year, they are pretty close to leading the nation in active shootings, if not leading the nation in active shootings. So is the gun control working? Leave a comment down below in California. Is it working? Oh, Josh says 21 day for handguns. I didn't know that. That's pretty crazy. But, and yeah, those guys didn't have 10 round mags. Those sounded like pretty big mags there, right? So how are those criminals able to get that stuff? Because bad guys don't follow the law. Bad guys do whatever the hell they want to do. You know, I almost did the live stream tonight. The main topic was going to be about how excited the gun control community is about Joe Biden winning the presidency at the moment, right? We all know that things are kind of in the middle at the moment. But if Joe Biden does win the presidency, the anti-gun community is extremely excited because they finally believe like they're going to be able to roll back and do some really aggressive gun control things. That's kind of scary. You know, our country is falling apart very, very quickly. Hey, thanks, Dan. I appreciate you, buddy. Our country is falling apart very, very quickly. And the only way that we have the ability to protect ourselves as a society is with guns. Guns are what tells the politicians in Congress, in Senate, tells the president that we are allowing you to govern us. That's what guns are saying to them. But if you go to a place like Cuba, the people are not giving permission to the government to govern. The government has taken it, and the people have no say. I love listening to the stories from my friends at Universal Jewelry Pawn and Gun Range, who they escaped and were able to come here from Cuba, and now have built a great life for them and their family. But, you know, it's interesting to hear the crazy stuff that they have to go through there. It's absolutely fascinating. And it's fascinating to me how the young generation here in America is just applauding this crap in and allowing it to come in here in the United States. So, okay, DV something. Trump lost, just accept it. You know, Trump didn't lose. There's a lot. Listen, I get it. If Biden won, that's okay. But the big issues right now is the incident that happened in Pennsylvania. Okay, so it is unconstitutional for Pennsylvania government for the Pennsylvania Voter Election Board to extend the right of people to vote. That is illegal. So we are all about laws. We are a nation of laws. We are not a nation of you get to do whatever the hell you want because of which political party you proclaim. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter who it is. If it's Trump, if it's Biden, you don't get to just do whatever the hell you want. We have laws, and you have to follow those laws. Or you got to change the laws, right? But that definitely needs to get overturned. And there's also some other crazy stuff. This Dominion software issue, postal workers changing the postmark date on elections, on ballots. That's absolutely insane. But we won't get too much into that. So I'd love to take your guys' questions about Florida concealed carry law, guns, gear. I saw somebody on here said that they are picking up their AR-15 on Friday. I just got my LWRC IC SPR. It is a rifle that I've wanted for a long time. I bought it the night of the election and just got delivered today because of a bunch of different issues. Wish I could show it to you guys on camera, but YouTube will shut down this feed if I do that. So I'm not going to, but I got a video coming out about it soon, and it's pretty awesome. Okay. Did I see DeSantis's new bill? Yes, I got an epic video about it that is blowing up on YouTube. So check it out. I break down the whole law. Jason Walker says, what's up, Jason? Says, have you ever used any 50-round drug mabs in your Glock? If so, what did you think? I don't think I've ever used one in a Glock. You know, I've obviously used them in AKs and in ARs and stuff. Surefire mags in my ARs. Never used it in a Glock. I don't think there's any, there's no tactical reason to do it, right? Obviously. It's more just the fun part. I think it would be fun to have a drum in a Glock if it was a full auto Glock. But I personally am not going to buy one for my Glocks because they're not full auto. And I think it would be boring. I think it's more important to practice that smooth, consistent emergency reload that we talk about in the 21-day dry fire challenge than it is to just have that 50-round thing. So as one of the young generation here, there's a significant faction within us who very much see the politics of Cuba appalling. Good. I think that's awesome. You know, I think that a lot of young people don't understand it. They're just mesmerized at this concept of everything being free. You know, they're talking about, Joe Biden waiving anybody that has $10,000, waiving student loan debt, waiving getting rid of student loan debt. We're the ones that have to pay that, right? And that's not the issue to fix the issue with college. Colleges are pointless. Most of the degrees offered by colleges are worthless. So it's teaching people the wrong stuff. It's teaching you how to be a consumer and not somebody who's a creator and creating an opportunity for you. And yeah, Kyle says nothing is free. I tell my kids, you deserve nothing. They all know, we've had this conversation multiple times, my children will get zero money from Tiffany and I, zero. Unless they are hustlers and they are already making their own money when it's time for us to die. But if they're losers, I'm just going to say it, if they're losers and they're not working, they want to spend their money, not have a budget, and just do dumb stuff, you'll get zero. I couldn't care less. Because I want to make sure they don't think that because Tiffany and I are successful, that you can just do whatever you want, live this nice life, and whatever. So I think it's nonsense. Okay, pure character, stretching his arm forward, raising his thumb up. Oh, okay. I got to remember. So for some reason, it doesn't, Sandy, it doesn't like show the emojis. It like types it out. So I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, so that's awesome. Public education and colleges are leftist indoctrination centers. Yeah, it's very true, right? And it's kind of scary. We had an issue with Paisley's teacher last year, I believe. Maybe it was 2 years. No, it was 2 years ago. Who was just pushing a political agenda into Paisley. And I finally had to say, like, listen, man, this is not your job. Your job is to teach her math, spelling, English. You need to keep your mouth shut when it comes to this political stuff. I'm the dad. We will determine what she hears, but it is not up to you to say this stuff to her. It's false, number one, and it's just not up to you. But I highly doubt most parents are having that conversation. It's a really big deal. Okay, why is it that a lot of places in Florida are not allowing us to carry when we are legal to carry? That's not right. Hey, Kevin, I think that's a great question, buddy. Businesses have a right to say who they want to allow inside of their business. So, and you also have to understand it's a big liability issue for them. So when we had the gun store, we had a big sign on the door that said no loaded firearms allowed. Now, we had that sign on the door strictly for an insurance reason, because we saw firsthand every single day how dumb people are. People would come in and they would pull out their gun to try to put it in a new holster, and the gun was fully loaded. I'd take it away from them. We one time had a Tampa police officer hand Tiffany or one of the other employees a gun, and it was loaded. I had 2 Homeland Security agents hand me their Glock 19s, fully loaded, round in the chamber. So people do silly stuff like that, and when the gunshot goes off, who gets sued? It's me. It actually happened to me. A gun went off. Somebody got hit. It grazed his nipple, which was really fascinating. The bullet just grazed his nipple. And it was such a light graze that if it would have been me, I wouldn't have even gone to the hospital. But this person went to the hospital and then ended up suing us. And I think got $50,000 or something like that. So whatever, that's fine. But people do dumb stuff. And that's why businesses put that kind of stuff inside of their, on their doors, right? But we also don't have to listen to that. So just because Chase Bank has a sign that says no guns allowed doesn't mean that it's a law or that we have to comply with that. Hey, thanks, Dark Angel. I'll get to your question in 1 second, buddy. So we don't have to abide by it, but you just have to make sure. I went to my dentist a couple years ago, and there's a sign on the door that says no guns allowed. I'm not going to listen, right? So I come in, I'm sitting in the chair, and my shirt, when he leaned me back, my shirt kind of pulled up, and it exposed my gun. So I pulled it down real quick, and the dentist, this is the guy that's got the sign on the door that says no guns allowed. He goes, "Oh, is that a Glock 43X?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, very cool. I've got one too." And I said, "Oh, so you're obviously a gun guy. So what's up with the sign on the door?" And he said, "Oh, it was just something that we had to do." I was like, okay, that's interesting. So just because a business has that, don't believe that it's because it's an anti-gun agenda. Sometimes it's just an insurance thing, or an attorney is telling them, hey, you should do this to try to protect yourself. Okay, so Dark Angel says, options or opinions about metal mags that come with AR-15. So it depends on, it's not the metal mag that's the issue, it's the follower. So if you have a metal mag that has an anti-tilting follower, it's going to be a good mag. So the shell is not really what matters in an AR-15 magazine. It really is about the follower. So if you have an anti-tilt, the reason that most AR-15s jam is the magazine, the follower tilts, it then gets stuck, and that causes the cartridge to get jammed when it's trying to chamber into the chamber. So if you have old metal mags, just buy some of the Magpul anti-tilt followers, chuck them in there. You'll never have a problem again. Somebody just said they subscribed. Joseph, hey, we appreciate you, buddy. You were shot in the foot. I've never been shot in the foot. Have you? Yeah, I've never been shot. I had a ricochet of a shell hit me in the leg one time. But that was a ricochet because I was too close to a steel plate that we were shooting at. Okay, any other questions? If concealed carry essentially ruled unconstitutional, why do citizens tolerate them? Well, first of all, concealed carry rules have never been ruled unconstitutional. If you read the Heller versus DC decision, it very clearly states that right after the post-ratification, the construction era, and then even a modern day, courts have always upheld that states have a right to license and regulate concealed carry. So that has always happened. And again, it happened post-ratification. So right after the ratification of the Constitution, this is something that was going on in society and courts were ruling on. So because of that, just because of that precedence, it is not unconstitutional for governments to regulate concealed carry. No state shall, okay, so here's a quote that he says. No state shall convert a liberty into a license and charge a fee therefore. Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. Okay, yeah, but again, that looks like that's a Pennsylvania court that ruled that. That was not the U.S. Supreme Court. So, I agree with it, man. Listen, I find it fascinating that the Second Amendment is the only amendment in the Bill of Rights that says shall not be infringed. And shall not be infringed, I don't have it right in front of me, but I do talk about it in my book extensively. You know, it basically says that it should not be encroached upon and it should not be changed or modified in any way. So why would the Founding Fathers say that? They said it because they already knew from experience from King George and King James during the Restoration period that gun control was a real thing. They were committing gun control on the Protestants in England in the 1600s. So in the Founding Fathers that were already exposed to that, right? They already saw this stuff happening and the writing was on the wall. I think they put it on there because they knew that that's what governments were going to do in the future. But somehow it's gotten away from us. And I think it's going to be very hard to get it back now, which is also why we have to stop allowing them to continue to take these rights away, because one day we will wake up and we won't have any of this stuff left. Okay, I saw a couple questions in here. Can I open carry in Pennsylvania with the Florida permit? Maybe, Jose, you would have to look at Pennsylvania's law and see who does the open carry provision apply to. Many times when states say that they allow open carry, it may only apply to a resident or somebody who has established lawful residency. So you'd have to check out Pennsylvania's law. Can my husband and I book a private range with you, Tiffany? Tiffany doesn't do private range classes, so no, sorry about that. I understand AK-47 is more reliable than an AR-15. I may add either. Your thoughts? You know, it's not. AK-47s are extremely reliable. They are designed to have extremely loose tolerances so that if you have a lot of dirt and crap inside of the AK, it is still going to work. But that's also why they are typically less accurate than an AR-15. So this LWRC that I got sitting behind me is very tight tolerances. It's a very expensive rifle, so the accuracy is going to be very on point. But if it's just like any gun, right? If you're maintaining your firearm properly, then the jamming and those malfunctions shouldn't really be happening. And either way, you got to learn how to deal and clear with those malfunctions relatively quickly. Okay, I know we can't carry at a bar, but what about breweries? Okay, good question. They allow food, but don't serve it. I ran into this last weekend, decided to leave it in the car. So, Jimmy, what the law says is you are not allowed to conceal carry a firearm in any establishment where the primary purpose is a consumption of alcohol. The dogs are obviously eating something they shouldn't be eating back there, so you may hear it. So, in my opinion, a brewery what is the primary purpose of that brewery? Is the brewery serving alcohol? Are they selling alcohol while you're going on that tour? If the answer is yes, is the primary purpose the consumption of alcohol? If the answer to that question is yes, you are not legally allowed to have a firearm there. Biden is going to abolish the Second Amendment. He can't abolish it, but he's going to restrict the hell out of it. He's going to choke it like a lady of the night. Probably shouldn't say that. Okay, Ephil says, Ryan, what tourniquet do you use? I use a CAC tourniquet that is DOD approved that I bought off of LA Police Gear. So exciting news from you guys. We have just negotiated a really awesome partnership with LA Police Gear. So we're going to start doing a bunch of stuff with them. They are going to be doing a lot of stuff for you. They're not doing stuff for me. I told them I'm really not interested in money. I'm more interested in what you can do for my followers. And they're going to do some big stuff for you guys. So stay tuned. It's going to be amazing. So it's going to be really awesome. Okay, Will says, I really appreciate your response. Thanks, buddy. So my M&P 15 has 2,000 rounds through it without one single malfunction. Good. Yeah, that's awesome, Vincent. Okay, Sandy says, I've been waiting for 10 weeks for concealed carry. Sandy, you might be on a terrorist watch list. I don't know. You should get it soon. It's typically been 6 to 8 weeks, but there may be something else. I don't know. You should get it soon, though, Sandy. Okay, Samuel Williams says, how do you feel about steel casings? I refuse to shoot steel casing ammunition out of Western designed firearms. So what I mean by that is Glocks, SIGs, HK, Springfield, stuff like that. The good quality guns, they are specifically designed to shoot brass. And typically, if you read the owner's manuals of those firearms, they are going to say not to shoot steel. But out of my AK, I would only shoot steel. Brass would actually break the lip of the rim off, and it will cause issues. So only shoot steel out of an AK or Russian-made gun. Never shoot steel out of a Western-made gun is my kind of ideology. Okay, Alabama's ruling. If the state converts a right liberty into a privilege, the citizen can ignore the license and fee and engage in that right liberty with impunity. But yet people still get concealed carry permits in Alabama. That's funny. Alcohol and guns don't mix. Very true. We have concealed carry reciprocity nationally if Paul Ryan would have brought it up for a vote in the Senate. Well, just because he brought it up for a vote doesn't mean it would go anywhere. And I think Paul Ryan is like every smart politician, every smart legislator or salesperson, in that you only ask a question that you already know the answer to. You don't bring something up for a vote unless you've already got commitment from the other legislators of how they are going to vote, because then it just makes you look very dumb and it wastes a lot of people's time, right? So I think that's why you didn't see that happen, is that I'm sure they talked about it. They all talked about it. And I don't think there are enough votes to get it to pass. Okay, somebody says Quick Clot. You don't want Quick Clot. Quick Clot does not really work, and it's not really safe. What you want is to have Quick Clot impregnated into the bandage, and that way you can stuff it for hemorrhaging or something like that, but you don't want just the powder to pour on. That's not a good idea. Okay, Chris donated 20 bucks. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you, buddy. If Joe and Harris come for your AR-15s, are you giving them up? I will not. I will not comply. You guys can hold my feet to that, because I think there are some things in life that are worth dying for. there are some things in life worth going to jail for. And if we don't stand for our rights and do what we're supposed to do as Americans and what we believe in, then you might as well just give up and join the Communist Party. So my guns will be gone, though. They will disappear. They will not be in my house, and they will not be able to find them until that time is right. But yeah, that's about as much as I'm going to say about that topic, I think. Okay, so Paul or Raul says, what happens if somebody breaks into your house unarmed and charges towards you? Can you shoot that person? Raul, great question. So this falls underneath the Florida Castle Doctrine law, which I talk about in my book extensively. If a person enters your home unlawfully and by force, it has to be both, then you have a presumption that they are there to commit a violent act against you. So if you're inside your home, so let's first break down, what does unlawful entry mean? Unlawful entry means that that individual enters your home without permission, without an invitation. So they do not have a legal right to be there. It's not like Tiffany kicks me out and says, hey, leave, don't come back. And I'm like, no, I am coming back. I open up the door. She doesn't have a right to shoot me because I am a lawful resident. I own this house. I'm allowed to be here. The second thing is the bad guy has to enter the home by force. So what does by force mean? Let's see. I'm going to give you a second, let you guys post a couple comments, and then I'll tell you the answer. What does by force mean under the Florida law? Okay, I got no answers. Okay, that's fine. Whatever, I'll just answer it. So by force means that that bad guy kicked in the door, broke a window, picked a lock. But does it mean that that front door, what if a bad guy, your door was shut but unlocked? So door was shut and unlocked. Bad guy walked up and turned a doorknob. Would that be considered a forcible entry under Florida law? The answer to that question is yes. It is considered force as long as the door was shut and it was not easy to open. So as long as they entered unlawfully, they entered by force, I have a presumption that they are there to commit a violent act against me. And as long as the use of deadly force is a reasonable response, this is the third component, has to be a reasonable response, and I am allowed to shoot. Here's an example. I had a young woman in my class many years ago. She said that she opened up her front door after work, and there was something in the way. Like when she tried to open up the door, there was just something there. She couldn't push the door open. So in her words, she said she thought it was her boyfriend drunk on the ground again. I kind of looked at the other students in the room. I looked back at her and I said, I think you need a new boyfriend. Like if this is a normal thing that your boyfriend is passed out drunk on the ground, you need to trade up to a different level of person. That's not a man, okay? So she pushed the person out of the way, opens the door, steps over the body, flips the light on, and it was not her boyfriend. It was a burglar who had smashed the bedroom window, broken into the house. He had a gun in the back of his pants, but this guy was so drunk that he passed out unconscious on the ground. So did this bad guy enter the house unlawfully? Yes, he entered unlawfully for sure. Did he enter by force? Yes, because he broke a window. But is the use of deadly force a reasonable response? Does she have to shoot this person to stay alive? The answer is no. So she did the right thing. She jumped in her car. She left, drove to a different area, called the police, and then the police came and arrested this guy. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, let's see. Stay home if you carry. If you don't have an AR-15, you can do nothing. Okay, everybody needs an AR-15. I thought it read as invited or not invited. Nope, it never actually uses those terms. It says unlawful and by force. I've pretty much memorized this thing. Can you use your ghost gun as your concealed carry weapon? You know, let's first say that we need to avoid using the anti-gun community's bullshit terms, okay? So ghost gun, assault weapon, all this freaking nonsense that they use to try to like put fear into people's minds, They have to get out of our vocabulary. So you built an 80% gun. You built an 80% pistol. We all know what that means, right? So you built an 80%er. Can you conceal carry an 80%er gun? Yes, it's a legal gun. The challenge you might have with, so an 80%er means you buy a piece of plastic that is not a firearm. 80% of the frame has been cut out and machined, but there's still 20% of the work that has to get done. So by you performing that 20%, that makes it into a firearm. And because you are the one that manufactured it, it is not required by federal law to have a serial number marked on it. So no serial number gun. The challenge is most law enforcement officers don't understand that that's legal. So if you did get pulled over, if you were involved in an incident or whatever, and the cop gets that gun, they are going to be very stressed out at why your firearm does not have a serial number. I actually don't have, I have 80% AR lowers. I'm going to build an a Glock 80%er soon. We're going to film some YouTube videos about it. Don't have any yet, but I do think they are really dope. So you might as well get them now. Might as well get them before Sleepy Joe gets into office. Okay, hey, I'm from New Jersey. I'm new to my rights. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome, buddy. I'm glad you're here. Did I discuss the expansion of the Stand Your Ground yet? Yes, right at the very beginning of the live stream. So you can check that out. Do you have any idea on the return time for a concealed carry license? Yeah, most people are getting it 6 to 8 weeks. Sandy was just saying it's been 10 weeks for her, which kind of sucks. But yeah, there's not much you can do. Okay, Joseph says, does joining the NRA or other organization help the cause in preserving our rights as firearm owners? Joseph, I am a life member of the NRA. I am a annual member. I pay a small fee. I don't even know how much I pay, $100, $150 or whatever a year to the Gun Owners of America, only because they don't offer a lifetime membership, or I would have just paid that fee. But I think those are two organizations. If you're a serious gun owner, you need to belong to the NRA and Gun Owners of America. You know, both of those are the two organizations that are actually out there when these governors, politicians, senators, whatever, are doing unconstitutional crap. These are the organizations that are actually filing lawsuits and fighting for our rights. They can't do this for free. They need to our financial support to do that. And, you know, the USCCA, you may be a member of them. You've heard me talk about them lots. They don't do that. The USCCA takes a very non-political bias. So they don't take a stance on any of this stuff, which I understand from a business standpoint. But as a pro-Second Amendment, constitutional right kind of thing, you gotta pick a side here, buddy. Kathleen says, my favorite pistol is a Glock 19 Gen 5. Absolutely love it. Okay, Arthur says, what do you think of the Walther P22 22 long rifle pistol? I own one. I think it's an okay gun. I have broken mine a lot. I do shoot it a lot, but it's broken guns. I broke the slide on it a couple months ago, and the slide just totally disintegrated in my hand and really pissed me off. I contacted Walther. Walther sent me a new slide and stuff, but it just makes me mad. This is a second slide from Walther that had disintegrated on me, so that kind of pisses me off. But I think it's a good gun. I don't like the European style magazine release. I kind of prefer, I also own a Ruger SR22. I kind of think that's a better gun, but anyway. Okay, let's see. What gonna be the new when Sleepy Joe gets into office? Check out, I have a YouTube video. I don't know what it's called. I think it's called Joe Biden's Gun Control Agenda. It's at right now 107,000 views. I posted it last Monday. So in a week, 107,000 views, which I think is pretty impressive. But check it out. It kind of breaks down all the lunacy that he is talking about. Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America are good. NRA is too corrupt. You know, the NRA has issues right now. They have issues, but, you know, we've got to work through the issues. It's kind of like a marriage, right? I don't think that they're corrupt. I think that there's some leadership changes that need to happen with the NRA to make some things happen in a proper way. But yeah. What if I get home and somebody is stealing or trespassing? Frank says. Well, Frank, we are never allowed to use or threaten the use of deadly force to protect personal property, ever. The only time you are allowed to use deadly force to protect personal property is if the person is also attempting to commit a forcible felony while attempting to take that personal property. And forcible felonies are treason, murder, manslaughter, sexual battery, and the whole list goes on and on. So, and then the same thing goes for trespassing. Just because somebody is standing on your front lawn, just because somebody is on your property, you are not allowed to wave or threaten them with a gun. Here's an interesting story. There is an extremely wealthy family here in Tampa. If you know who the wealthy big name family is, they used to own all of Tampa Bay back in the day when it was just cattle farms. This is the family that I'm talking about. So when we owned the gun store, I got a phone call, and when I answered, I said, hey, Ryan here, how can I help you? And this woman said, hey, I am a probation officer for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, and I've called every gun store in Hillsborough County, and they've all said no. And I said, okay, well, my answer is probably going to be no then, but what's the question? And she said, I have a convicted felon that needs to take a gun safety class. I thought, that makes zero sense to me. So if he's a convicted felon, he's not allowed. Hey, thanks, Dan. I appreciate you, bud. I'm going to come back to your question. I actually just shot that gun the other day. So let me finish the story. So I said, why is this person a convicted felon and need to take a class? She said, he just did. You can charge, it has to be one-on-one. And I said, that's fine, but I'm going to charge whatever I want. So normally we charge $60 for our concealed carry class, right? $59.99. I charged this person $500. It was going to be one-on-one for 3 hours. I'm not doing that for less than $500. So he comes in, a young guy, he's probably 23 years old, and he told me his name, and I was like, oh man, I should have charged more. So I said, what happened? What's the story here of why this is happening? He said, my family owns thousands of acres of land in the center of the state. We have a beautiful cabin, and different family members will go out to this cabin, on different days of the week or whatever. So he said, me and my girlfriend were out there, and we have a massive issue with people like trespassing on the property, poaching, starting bonfires, just doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. So he said, we're out at the cabin, we're hanging out, and we heard somebody on the property. So he said, I took my shotgun, I took my flashlight, and I'm walking through the field, and I can see somebody off in the distance having a bonfire kind of party in a field. So he approaches, and he's shining the flashlight at him, and he says, this is private property. You are trespassing. According to him, never pointed the shotgun at these people. And he simply said, get the F off of my property. Well, these teenagers left. They were like 17, 18 years old. They left. They called their parents. The parents called 911, and this man was arrested for brandishing a firearm, even though allegedly the shotgun was never actually pointed at them, and he never actually threatened them. So he said, my grandfather, so again, this is a person who is a billionaire, billionaire. My grandfather spent $100,000 trying to make this case go away. Couldn't get it to go away. They said I had to become a felon, but if I successfully completed a firearm safety course, they would expunge the felony so he could own guns again and restore his rights and all that stuff. If this person, with the political pull that this guy has, with the amount of money that this guy has, if he's not able to squash a situation like that, we can't either. Does that make sense? So if somebody is trespassing, just call the police, ask them to leave, but don't go out there with a gun or threaten anybody with a gun because it's going to be terrible. Okay, so Dan asked about the Beretta M9A3. I think it is a sexy, sexy gun. I think it is amazing. I definitely want one. The one that I shot the other day was black. And it was the vertical grip. So the grip was straight up and down. It wasn't bowed out at all. I really loved it. It was a really sexy pistol, very smooth, Very nice. I personally don't like the safety feature on Beretta M9 pistols. I think they're really dumb. But besides that, I think it was a really amazing gun. Okay, Shep says, I'm new on your channel. I love having an AR-15. I like to get one before Joe Dirt gets in. I just can't afford it. Okay. Yeah, so listen, hey, here's the cool thing, right? Is you really only have to go out there and buy the lower. Buy the strip lower. That's a serialized part. You're going to be able to get all those other components over time. But you can get like I'm pretty sure Anderson Manufacturing, I used to buy those things for like $29. I don't know what they sell for now, but $29 for a brand new strip lower is pretty damn cheap. So buy that. At least one of my buddies bought 100 of them right before the 2016 election because he just didn't know what was going to happen. But that's always a good option. Okay, Frank says, rephrasing the question. Somebody inside your house, when you get there, so forced entry and unauthorized, can threat be made or must I leave? Castle Doctrine. So Frank, again, it goes back to the question of, is using your firearm a reasonable response? If when you open that door, that bad guy's like, oh shit, and then runs out the back, you got to stop, man. Let the guy go, call the police, secure your house, make sure your family's safe. But if you walk in and the guy is just there and lunges at you, attacks him, you got to do whatever you got to do in those moments to stay alive and keep yourself defended and protected. But you also got to know it's going to go to court and it might be bad. It might ruin your life. So you've got to take a lot of precautions there. Dark Angel says, thank you, Dark Angel, for the $2. Can you open carry in your front yard without a concealed weapons permit? The answer is yes. Use a lot of caution, though. I live in a subdivision. My neighbors all know that I'm a gun person. But, you know, if you have neighbors that don't know you're a gun person, they might freak out and they might call the police. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 more questions, and Tiffany is texting me and saying to shut off. And here is a perfect question. Alzabe says, Diamondback makes an affordable AR-15. Do not buy any product made by Diamondback. They are a horrible company. And guess who Diamondback's parent company is? Taurus. Everything that Taurus touches is garbage. Listen, we used to fabricate and do all kinds of stuff on AR-15s, right? So swapping out a barrel nut on an AR-15 is not a big deal. It's like a very common practice. I have literally done thousands of them. Every single Diamondback AR-15 that I ever swapped out a barrel nut or put a new handguard on or whatever, I broke the barrel retaining pin. Now, I have never broken a barrel retaining pin on any other firearm except a Diamondback. It is a piece of crap. It is not worth your money. Yes, they may sell for $700, $800. You might as well light that money on fire, go give it to a homeless person. It is not worth $800. So save your money, buy a Core 15. Again, it's not about spending more money. It's just about knowing the right company to spend that money with. Instead of wasting $800 with Diamondback, go spend $800 with Core 15, and you can buy their Scout rifle, $800. It's an amazing gun, $800. You really can't beat it. But the Diamondback is garbage. It's not worth it. Oh, William gave $50. William, I appreciate you, buddy. You are a true patriot, willing to die in prison, glad to not be alone. I was mocked by family when explaining I will die on the hills, go to prison. I know 100 who will not comply, neither will I. Yeah, you know what, buddy? The day may come. We don't want the day to come. We don't want war to come. But, you know, like I said, we either stand for something or we're going to fall for anything. And we have to do whatever the hell we got to do to protect our Constitution, our republic. Or we're very quickly going to become like all these other socialist countries. New subscriber here. When is it legal to spray a guy with pepper spray? Great question. So you're allowed to use non-lethal device when an individual is using unlawful force against you. So if I came up to you, let's see, Crunchy, okay, I can't tell if you're a man or a woman. If I came up to you and I just slapped you in the face, that is unlawful force. And therefore, you would have a right to use force, not including deadly force, to stop my unlawful use of force. So you can spray me with pepper spray, fight me, whatever that thing is, right? So hopefully that answers the question. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I really greatly appreciate you. Tiffany, thank you for being on. I know that her brother, she's having fun with her brother, so I'm glad that she was on here. We appreciate you guys. Let me see what video. I'm posting a video on the Carry University YouTube channel. Let me see, give you a little teaser on what video I'm going to post tonight. Trying to grow this this Carry University YouTube channel, so check it out. We got some good stuff on there. Let's see. I think I'm going to post a video about the Urban Carry holster. You guys have probably seen the Urban Carry ads. This is a raw review about the Urban Carry holster. Let me tell you, it's not going to go the way you think it's going to go. This is a rough review, but I think you guys will like it. Hopefully it'll prevent you from wasting a tremendous amount of money. So thanks for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate you. Be safe, and we're going to see you next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.